ancient Roman religion and mythology. Janus is the god of beginnings and transitions, thence also of gates, doors, doorways, endings, and time. He is usually a two-faced god since he looked to the future and the past. The Roman dedicated the month of January to Janus, and also named the month of January after Janus. The Romans associated Janus with the Eastern deity Anna. Janus was frequently used to symbolize change and transitions, such as the progression of past to future, of one condition to another, of one vision to another, and of one universe to another. Janus was worshipped at the beginning of the harvest and planting time, as well as marriage, birth, and other beginnings. He was representative of the middle ground between barbarity and civilization, rural countries and urban cities, and youth and adulthood. Janus was the beginning and the end. Today, New Year's Eve has become a time for people to wallow in excess of liquor. The modern attitude seems to be, have a wild time on New Year's Eve and turn over a new leaf on New Year's Day. New Year's resolutions are empty and meaningless in most cases. Usually trifling matters of just few people make a lasting change. Most people seem to have convinced themselves that God is out of the picture for good, the God that they worship. That God is not concerned with their modern revelings, drunken parties, and promiscuous behaviors. What does God have to say about New Year's Day? Does he condone observing a pagan festival, practicing pagan customs in the name of Christ? Something to think about. Before he was stabbed to death, Caesar felt that the month named after this god, which is the month of January, would be the appropriate door to the year. Caesar celebrated the first January the 1st New Year by ordering the violent routing of revolutionary Jewish forces in the Galilee. Eyewitnesses say blood flowed in the street. In later years, Roman pagans observed the New Year's by engaging in drunken sexual orgies and human ritual sacrifices. They believe constituted a personal reenactment of the chaotic world that existed before the cosmos was ordered by the gods. The assassination of Julius Caesar was a result by many Roman senators. They stabbed Julius Caesar to death in a location adjacent to the theater of Pompeii on the ideal of March 15, 44 BC. Caesar was the dictator of the Roman Republic at the time. Having recently been declared the dictator by the Senate, the declaration made several senators fear that Caesar wanted to overthrow the Senate in favor of tyranny. The conspirators were unable to restore the Roman Republic. The ramification of the assassination led to the Liberator Civil War and ultimately to the Principate period of the Roman Empire. Many Christians and other Bible believers celebrate New Year's, along with other pagan holidays, that goes directly against the teachings of their religions. Many have no idea of the evil and barbaric origins concerning their holidays, and sadly, many don't care. Even if you show them in their Bibles, it states in Amos 5:21, I hate, I despise your days, and I would not take delight in your feast days. And if you read Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 2, it goes on to talk about how not to follow the ways of the heathens. But many seem to ignore these scriptures. Even after offering up their God what has been sacrificed unto other gods, many find various excuses to continue to enjoy what the Bible considers as pagan holidays. For many years we have watched our ancestors engage in paganism and superstitions, and often adapted them into religious beliefs, mostly influenced by the Roman Catholic Church or the Roman society, with little or no research of the origins at all. Many believers have what is known as watch night services, but many have no idea of why they attend. On December 31st, 1862, many slaves gathered together in homes, churches, etc., hoping to be freed on January the 1st at 12 midnight. They prayed, sing, and danced in hopes of Abraham Lincoln would keep his word. Although the Emancipation Proclamation was passed, the slaves still did not see their freedom until many years later. In fact, many of the same slaves were separated from their families and sold off to never be heard from again. In spite of being deceived, many slaves carried on the tradition throughout the generations. Many blacks or melanated people today honor Abraham Lincoln as some kind of savior. But here is the true feelings of Abraham Lincoln. Lincoln often argued the founding fathers of America phrase, all men are created equal, applied to blacks and whites alike. He made it clear he did not mean that blacks and whites should have social and political rights. In 1858, in a series of debates with his opponent, U.S. Senator Stephen Douglas, who accused Abraham Lincoln of supporting Negro equality. In their fourth debate, Lincoln's exact words were this: I would say then, I am not, nor ever have been, in favor of bringing about in any way the equal rights of social and political equality. of the whites and black races. He began going on to say that he opposed blacks having the right to vote, to serve on juries, to hold offices, and to intermarry with whites. So there you have it. So the question is, why do churchgoers hold a tradition or ritual every year that clearly shows that our ancestors was deceived in thinking that Abraham Lincoln really cared about them? Do the church today care about whether they're serving other gods? Do they care about what our ancestors had to go through? Makes you wonder, is it just about the nice houses, cars, fancy clothes, power over other people? Because obviously it's showing us that the church have little to no knowledge on history.